speaking of monumental decisions, we have a real barn burner for you today, folks. Welcome to Howard's Opinion, the show where we dive into the most pressing and intriguing stories in the world of sports. We're talking, of course, about the recent court ruling that cleared former St. John's standout R.J. Lewis Jr. to practice and potentially play for LSU this season. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's the big deal? Well, my friends, this decision has far-reaching implications for college basketball and the NCAA as a whole. Lewis, who briefly signed with the Utah Jazz and Boston Celtics but never played in an NBA game, was granted a preliminary injunction against the NCAA by East Baton Rouge Parish District Court Judge Ronald R. Johnson. The ruling allows Lewis to join the Tigers and potentially suit up for the upcoming season, despite the NCAA's arguments that he was unlikely to win reinstatement after leaving college to turn pro in 2025. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Lewis's attorneys argued that the NCAA had granted exceptions to numerous players from overseas professional leagues, allowing them to join college basketball programs. They claimed that American players like Lewis must be afforded the same opportunity, and that his situation was not comparable to those who played for developmental squads of pro organizations overseas. The NCAA, on the other hand, argued that Lewis's decision to leave college for the NBA was a choice that had consequences, and that he shouldn't be allowed to simply waltz back into college basketball. But Judge Johnson saw it differently, stating that, in the court's mind, Lewis did not actually play professional basketball, and that whether Lewis was properly advised of his options at the time he left college lingers heavily before this court. Others see it as a victory for athletes' rights, allowing them to make informed decisions about their careers without being unduly penalized. As we delve deeper into this story, we'll explore the implications of this decision and what it might mean for the future of college basketball. We'll also examine the broader context of athletes' rights and the ongoing struggle between athletes and the institutions that govern their sports. We'll be right back with more fascinating sports news on Howard's Opinion. Welcome back to Howard's Opinion, folks. We're diving into the world of baseball now, and I've got a story that's been making waves in the MLB. You might have heard about Colt Emerson, the rookie shortstop for the Seattle Mariners, who's been struggling with a wrist injury. Well, it's just been announced that he'll be undergoing season-ending surgery to repair a displaced tendon in his left wrist. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a big blow to the Mariners, especially considering Emerson's impressive start to the season. The 20-year-old phenom debuted on May 17th and was slashing .237, .310, .566 with 6 homers over his first 23 games. But since then, he's been struggling mightily, with the .166/.212/.214 line over his next 46 games. As it turns out, Emerson's wrist issue has been a nagging problem for some time now. He met with orthopedist Donald Sheridan back in February, and it was suggested that he might eventually need surgery. And now, with the season all but lost for Emerson, the decision's been made to go under the knife. Mariners GM Justin Hollander said that Emerson will be ready for next season, which is a relief for fans of the team. But what is interesting here is how this injury might have affected Emerson's performance on the field. As Hollander noted, different players have different pain thresholds, and it's clear that Emerson was trying to play through the pain. In fact, Jerry Dipoto, the Mariners' president of baseball operations, said that the wrist issue explains a lot of Emerson's struggles at the plate. It's hard to hit with a bad wrist, and it's especially hard to hit with a bad wrist when you're trying to play against a level of competition you've never played before, Dipoto said. Now, I'm not one to speculate on injuries or make excuses for players, but it's clear that Emerson was dealing with a significant issue here, and you have to admire his grit and determination in trying to play through the pain. As we move forward, it will be interesting to see how the Mariners handle Emerson's recovery and rehab. They've already said that he'll have limitations on his off-season workouts, and he'll be monitored closely in spring training. But for now, let's just take a moment to appreciate the talent and potential of this young player. Colt Emerson is going to be a star in this league, folks, and we're looking forward to seeing him back on the field next season. First up, we have Colt Closewell, a talented young player who's leaving the LSU women's basketball program for personal reasons. Now, I'm not one to speculate on individual circumstances, but I will say this. The pressures of collegiate athletics can be overwhelming, and it's essential that we prioritize the well-being and mental health of our student-athletes. This isn't just about winning championships or generating revenue. It's about fostering an environment that allows young people to grow, learn, and thrive. And speaking of growth, let's move on to our next story, which involves none other than Lane Kiffin, the head coach of the LSU Tigers football team. Now, Coach Kiffin has been making headlines with his unorthodox approach to recruiting, including bringing an NFL tight end back to college. Paul Feinbaum, a respected sports commentator, has slammed Kiffin for shattering norms and putting his own interests ahead of the team. What's wrong with thinking outside the box, with pushing the boundaries of what's possible? Is not that what innovation and progress are all about? But of course, there are those who would argue that Kiffin's approach is reckless, that it undermines the integrity of the game. And to them, I say, isn't it time we stopped clinging to outdated norms and started embracing the complexities of modern athletics? The drama of athletic competition is precisely that: dramatic, unpredictable, and always evolving. As I always say, the truth is, sports is a reflection of society, with all its flaws and imperfections. But it's also a powerful catalyst for change, for growth, and for human connection. So let's keep the conversation going, and let's never stop striving for excellence, both on and off the field. That's all for today's Howard's Opinion. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, keep your head in the game.